Hello, and welcome to Skills to Pay the Bills. I am your host, Tia Young, and we have a great show for you today. Our special guest is a military veteran with over 25 years of experience championing human resources, workplace inclusion, and professional leadership development initiatives. She is a 13-year college professor teaching the Master of Human Resource program and ethics and public speaking courses. She is a keynote speaker to government, education, nonprofit, law firms, and corporations on the topics of HR matters, generations, and women's initiatives. She currently runs a 501c3 organization known as HireGround, and that's H-I-R-E, Ground. Please welcome Dr. Jinnae Monroe to Skills to Pay the Bills. Dr. Monroe, welcome.
Thank you. I'm well. Thanks for having me.
Good, thank you. May I call you Jinnae?
Absolutely.
Okay, all right. So, you have such an impressive background. I couldn't say everything in the opening, but can you just kind of summarize what you've done in what I think are very short years? So tell us about your accomplishments.
Since you've already, I think, alluded to some of the key points, what I really like people to know is that I understand what makes people tick, and there's a bunch of us out here in the human resource field and then the nonprofit that have that same understanding. What we like to do is take our knowledge, skills, and abilities and help everybody up the rung. So from the time I started my career in the Air Force, I did my Air Force job, and when I was off, I was in the community, started with Pearl S. Buck Foundation in the Philippines, working with those Amerasian children who didn't have families, making sure that they had opportunities. And as I transitioned from place to place in the military, I continued to see that need. Children out there wanting someone to help them and inspire them to do more. And I had the opportunity to do that. It's been a long time, but when I was on President Reagan's plane as an Air Force member, well, there are opportunities for me to land in spots where I can then impact youth. So that's pretty much who I am in a nutshell, always looking to help the young people.
Yes, I love it. Yeah. Well, let's focus a little bit on your recent nonprofit.
Yes.
HireGround. I love that name. I do. So what sparked the idea, and just tell us a little bit about the mission and vision of HireGround.
The purpose of HireGround, H-I-R-E, is to ensure all young people have the opportunity to find a viable career option. And we kind of lean ourselves to those shining stars, whether they have the opportunity via economic status or they have the opportunity via grants. Then we kind of put them on a pedestal, make sure that they're the ones that are off to college. But there's a whole nother group of kids sitting in high school that are saying, you know what? It's not about the resources, I just don't want to go to college. Yeah. So our goal and vision is to give them options, help them come up with their own career pattern, their own career plan, and then say, what soft skills you will need to get there is what we're going to offer you. So we kind of make sure everything is customized to meet the needs of those kids. We have about 100 courses that we can offer in terms of soft skills. We don't offer the technical skills, but what we have is a cadre of wonderful businesses in several regions around the state, and in particular in Northern Virginia and DC, Maryland area, that have said, when you have kids that you have put through training and you want us to mentor them, bring them to our locations and to our companies, and we'll do that for you.
Well, you just used a term that I didn't hear this 20 years ago, and really hadn't heard it recently until about a month ago. I was in a meeting in the District of Columbia, and it was an HR specialist, and she mentioned soft skills.
Yes.
Talk to us a little bit about that. Define that a little bit more. What do you mean by soft skills?
Absolutely. What we're finding is that we have a smarter, younger, intelligent generation. Some of the young folks are graduating college at age 18 and 20 because of the dual enrollment. But the part that's missing is their ability to go into the job and accept feedback. A willingness to want to listen to what others are saying and be mentored after they land the job. Of course, a high IQ tells them, I was able to get this job, therefore I'm ready to hit the ground running. There becomes a point where we have to give them feedback. where we have to correct them, and that's hard. So what we try to do is make sure they understand when they enter the workforce, that's coming. Feedback is coming. What you're doing well is coming, but where there's opportunities to change and grow up is coming as well. So one key role we always make sure they understand is professionalism in the workplace.
Yes.
And that comes with the point of bring your personality to work, but leave 50% of it home for when you get off, for after 5 o'clock. And that's a point of your conversation, your communication, your greetings ability, and the dress code.
Yes. Yes, I can understand that. And I know a lot of parents are probably going through that. I have a nephew who is now 24. And I mean, you know, he's smart as a whip, but there's just certain things that, well, basic things that I'm telling him, I say, you know, this will keep you from getting that job or will cause you to be leaving real quickly.
Absolutely.
You know, it's all about attitude and how you handle and how you accept, you know, correction sometimes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I know that I have a nonprofit organization, and I can understand a lot about challenges. So I'm really anxious to hear what some of the challenges are that you face.
Some of the challenges are the fact that I kind of mentioned this a little bit up front is a society that believes that those who raise their hand and say, I want to go to college, or those who show the potential, the high potentials get a lot of the focus. It's almost as, remember in the family where the underperforming kid took up all of the attention, and so we didn't worry about the kid that was doing well in the family. And so then the therapists and psychologists started telling mom and dad, you have to make sure you're paying attention to your good kid as well, because the other kids are getting so much attention. We feel the same way in HireGround is we need to pay attention to the kids who aren't raising their hand and saying, I'm ready for college, but I don't have the funds. Let's focus on some of that energy on those other kids. When we look at our recidivism in the juvenile justice system and the penitentiary system, those are those kids that fell between the gap. And if we take the time now and give them a path and give them some options and some training, help them with their resumes and their interview skills, they can then leave high school and have a viable option prepared for them that they were a part of. So one of the challenges is getting the schools to realize that it's not about all the kids that volunteer to do well. It's about those who are sitting there saying, I don't know what I'm going to do, or I don't care. I don't care is a shield.
Well, when you mentioned about the detention and juvenile, are you able to go into juvenile facilities and start working with the kids in those facilities, or you have to wait until they're discharged?
We have not been able to go into the schools, to the juvenile justice system. We would absolutely love that opportunity to start there, because it's not only about catching them in high school, but guess what? Some of the high school kids are arrested on the weekend.
Yeah, that's true.
So we can catch them there. When you look at the statistics for the kids that are in the juvenile justice system that didn't finish high school, or that are attending high school while they're in there, there's still a huge gap between those who get their degree while they're in the system and those who exit juvenile justice without their degree.
Well, are you also experiencing any challenges just as a nonprofit, just trying to get in the doors and trying to find enough funding or people to invest into your dream and your vision?
Yes, so funding is always an issue. I will say originally getting in the door was a challenge, but we have gotten into some Prince William schools and Manassas City schools, and we can't do enough for them.
Oh, that's great.
So we actually need more assistance with facilitation work and training work. And because of that, we would love more funding, because everyone with HireGround is a volunteer. No one is paid. At some point, we do need to compensate some staff. Right now, we have seasoned professionals, executives who take leave from their jobs to come run a course. So we'd like to see that change, and where we could compensate not those people, but some people that fall in between the gaps. And I think they have the potential to, if we could train them, to help us with this work. So going into the schools right now is not as much of a challenge as it was 3 years ago.
Okay, that's good. And your organization has been in existence for
3 years.
For 3 years.
And when we started, we went into one classroom, and in that one classroom, Tia, we started with 30 kids, And by the end of the month, we went back 2 more times. The kid count went, it was 40 kids. And then the last session we had, I had to say, is there a fire code? Because
Wow.
so many kids came in the room. And I asked the teacher, where did all these kids come from? And she said, the other kids told them about the first session and the second session.
What about parental support? Do you get a lot of parental support from the parents of the children?
I haven't, because the courses we're allowed to come in during school hours.
Oh,
so we're
okay.
dealing with, absolutely, we're dealing with
okay.
teachers, because
Okay.
we're allowed, they put us in the middle of the day. We have a 90-minute spot. Can you come in and do a session on resume writing or oral presentations? So we did a couple of pilots on the weekend, and what we found, it was Saturday and Sunday. What we found was, because the parents are younger, both sessions, the parents asked if they could stay.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yes. So the parents wanted the
parents
training.
wanted to be involved in
Yes.
it. And that's
Yes.
always a positive, when you can get the
Absolutely.
parents involved in
Yes.
whatever you're doing.
Yes.
Now, I know we may get to only part of this, but if we do,
Yes.
we'll pick it up after the break.
Yes.
What have been some of the highlights of the students that you have worked with?
Students who decided that not only, Miss Jinnae, am I going to finish high school, but I think I want to go to college now.
Because this
it's
is different from when you walked in the door.
different from when we
you
walked
walk
in the door.
or do you get a, like, who is this?
Exactly.
You know, what is
So I'm not going to college. I hope that's not what you're here for. So I don't talk about the college, the C word. I don't talk about college. We talk about goals and career paths. And then it's wonderful when you find out, when I go look for John and Janet, and where are they? Oh, they're at their college day prep. And I'm thinking, wow, this is the kid that said they weren't going. So one thing that happens, when you start motivating a kid and you start giving them options and you start letting them see all of the potential they have, it sparks something else in them. And at any time a person's inner desire comes out and they start planning a path, that's when they can achieve their goals.
And you know, some of these kids are absolutely brilliant. I know of a
Yes.
story
Yes.
where one young lady was taking a STEM course, and somehow she was able on her own to
Yes.
break the code of the defense department. And people are still trying to figure
Yes.
out, how in the world did this kid do this with, just playing around with the computers, and she was able to do it.
Yes.
So we're going to take a short station break.
Okay.
And we will be continuing our discussion with Dr. Jinnae Monroe.
Minds can achieve anything. We make sure they get to college. Federal student aid provides more than $150 billion in grants, loans, and work-study funds to make college possible for anyone with the mind to get there. Because if given the chance, minds will do great things. Federal Student Aid, proud sponsor of the American Mind. Learn more about money for college at studentaid.gov.
Thank you for joining us on Skills to Pay the Bills. Our special guest today is Dr. Jinnae Monroe, founder of the 501c3 organization HireGround. Jinnae, before the break, you were giving some highlights of some of the students, and I'd like you to continue on, because I found very interesting some of the topics that you were saying.
Sure. So I worked with a young lady who told me, Miss Jinnae, I'm not going to college. It's just not in the cards for me. So I asked her, what does she like to do? She said, I am a music person, and that's what I do. I sing and I play the guitar. And I asked, what classes are you succeeding in? She said, only music and choir. And I said, how about if you just finished high school just to get to those classes and then use those skills to maybe become, a music singer or, pursue your dreams. She said, I tried, but I just couldn't. So I lost contact with her for a couple of months. Someone gave me some funds, and I thought, this is an opportunity to hire her for 30 days and really mentor her. So I was going to give her a paid internship. And I reached out and I said, hey, would you come work for me for 30 days? And she said, can I come work for you in the summer? I'm not there. And I immediately thought, oh, gee, she got in trouble. I said, where are you? Oh, I didn't tell you. I'm sorry. I graduated and I'm at college.
Oh, get out. That is
Yes.
wonderful.
Yes.
What a great
Yes.
testimony.
Yes.
Oh,
And
man.
so I told her, I said, no, you can't come work for me. How dare you? And she said, I wanted you to know I heard everything you said and I listened to the workshops.
So it sounds like even though our kids appear not to listen and they mouth back,
Yes.
that we still have to continue to say it because maybe it's going someplace.
We do. We
Deep
have
down.
to be. We have to be a broken record. But you know, as they say, no man is an island,
Yeah.
and it takes a village. It really does. We really have to get used to tapping into our resources and not being too proud to reach to the next person to help us out. And it's not just the teachers using all their resources; it's the parents using all their resources as well.
Right. What population and age group do you serve?
Originally, we thought we were only going to focus on 15 to 19. I know that's not going to stay that way. It can't stay that way because I feel fortunate to see that how the teachers respond to the workshops. And the teachers don't drop their kids off and leave, and they could go back to planning sessions. The teachers are staying in the room. I love that the parents want to come sit in with the kids. And most recently, this year, the Honor Society have said last year, she came into the school and only dealt with certain kids. That's what we feel like happened because we never targeted a population. And so we said, you know what? Let's open it up. Any person that wants to come for soft skills training can come. What that has led to, Tia, is this year we are training the Honor Society to be trained to trainers to help with resume building and to help with interview questions.
The Honor Society
Yes.
is now involved?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
So what did you have to do to get that connection, that partnership? Did somebody introduce you to them or did you just knock on the door and say, hey, I want to talk to you guys?
A teacher did. A teacher
teacher did,
said,
yeah.
the Honor Society wants to do more. What can they do? And I said, not only attend the workshop, but why don't we use them as young coaches?
Oh, that's amazing.
So we're putting them through a 6-week program, and they will get a diploma at the end, a certificate, and they will become junior coaches.
So 15, what is that, 10th grade, starting in 10th
Yes.
grade? Or, so you're saying that you're thinking about taking it lower and trying to reach the kids at even a lower grade?
Yes, we have to.
Yeah.
We don't have a choice,
Yeah.
and we should never say no. If there are
Yeah.
programs out there that
That's
kids
true.
are raising their hand and asking to be a part of, I think it does a disservice when we say, oh, this is our population. I do understand the need to stay within your lane, but the school is our lane. And if they're at the school, I don't think I ever want to say to a 13-year-old, no, you are too young to learn professionalism in the workplace. Because the school is their workplace.
So are you having success with organizations that could hire these students at some point for internships or summer jobs or even for instructional type materials? Is that something that is easily to come by?
Oh, absolutely. We're having success with local small businesses, and that's what we're targeting because if a student isn't leaving home, then of course we want them to be able to get on the bus, the metro, ride their bikes to get to their jobs. So we are really targeting the local small businesses and saying, how would you like a well-coached student to come to your organization and volunteer? All we ask back is that you give them training, documented training, performance feedback, and that you make sure they understand your work arena, not only just the technical part, but the safety part.
Right. What about the federal government, federal and state government? Now, I did hear you say, was it Prince William
Prince
County
William.
is working with it. What about the federal government? It seems like they would just be all over this. It would be something, has that been hard to break through?
We haven't reached as
You
far
haven't
to the, but we would love to. We would
Yeah,
love
that-
where companies sponsored and say, oh, we'll take care of this school for you. We have Manassas City schools who just have jumped all over it. Like I said, we don't have enough facilitators for it. Prince William gave us an open contract, Prince William Schools, as a result of the work we did in Manassas. They said, we want you to do what you do for Manassas for our students, and you can use any facility to conduct trainings.
So you don't even have to worry about trying to go out and pay somebody for a facility. They'll let you use, that's wonderful.
Yes.
That is wonderful.
Yes.
How do you select your next group of students? Is there a special process? Is there so many months that they're with you and then they graduate, or how does that work?
We let our current clients decide who the next clients are. So what happens is the kids are telling the kids, and as well as the teachers are telling the next teacher. So we were doing a workshop the other day, and a teacher from Fairfax walked into the classroom and looked and asked for a business card. So it's just growing like wildfire all by itself.
Well, summertime, what about summertime? When school is out, is there opportunity to continue it through the year? So this is a year.
Yes.
That's great.
It's a year-round project, and also in the summertime, what we would love to see happen this summer is the kids that go through the Professionalism in the Workplace series are placed in certain jobs, even if it's fast food, it does not matter. But we want to get the feedback from those managers. What was it like with a teenager that went through professional development before they came to your establishment?
Right. Walk me through what your intake process is like. You know, let's say a student has referred someone to you. So what are the steps? Is there an application process that they have to fill out? What kind of interview do you have with them? And if you do get a student that it just doesn't work out, is there I mean, what do you do? Do you just send them back, or you don't give up? You look like you don't give up.
I don't give up, and I don't have anyone that, so far, no one quits.
Oh, that's great.
No one quits. As a matter of fact, what happens is that a parent or a teacher says, okay, I know this has nothing to do with the school, but our church would be willing to have you come in. Would you come into our church? So we've gone into churches as a result to their youth groups. So it's 100% surefire, because we're all about what's inside of you, what's inspiring you. Let's see if we can find out a way to make sure that happens in a purposeful way that you know where you're going after high school.
So nobody is turned away.
Nobody is turned away.
That's really,
No.
because a lot of programs, I mean, you've got a litmus test, and they've got certain things that you got to meet and measure and that type of thing.
Yeah.
So that's really good. Now, we talked a little bit about this earlier, but it's about the funding.
Yes.
Where do you get your funding, and then how can viewers learn more about the organization? Tell us about some of the volunteer positions that you have available. And I realize that some of them may be pretty high up. You
Yes.
already said that you wish you could pay, you know, people more, but
Yes.
you know, right now that's not in the cards this second. But you still need those bodies and that expertise. So
Yes.
talk a little bit about
Yes.
what you need.
I need funds that I could at least offer a stipend when someone comes to teach a workshop. But more than that, the funds help me. I never have a workshop where the kids don't leave with a notebook, or if it's a hygiene class, they leave with a hygiene kit. So there's always a takeaway. And that becomes a little bit tasking when there's 50 kids that are in a workshop to provide those type of opportunities and those type of takeaways for them. I need funding, so we really need a program manager, and we need a full-time admin to schedule and start keeping track of where the kids are in the program. Right now we're doing that, and right now we have about 10 facilitators, but again, everyone is full-time employed somewhere else, and they take vacation from work to go facilitate.
Okay, and tell me what a facilitator does.
So a facilitator actually teaches a workshop.
teaching,
I
okay.
say facilitator because we're not there to lecture like their teachers.
Okay.
We're having guided discussion on topics, but we make sure we stay within the realm of there is an objective, and this is what you're expected to be able to go apply. So part of the outcome is reaching back to a teacher and asking the teacher, how's your group doing today? And hearing them say something like, everybody was asking me to slow down so they can catch the information, because I teach them about if you're not getting what you need from your teacher, you should be asking your teacher.
That's true. Jinnae, what's next for HireGround?
What we're doing right now, we have a pilot program. We're getting ready to start a professional development center in a school. I won't say the school yet because we're still working out all of the kinks. What we're going to do is we're offering professional development workshops. If you attend all the workshops, we want to connect you with somebody in the industry that can give you additional training. And you get to go to the clothes closet and you pick out 5 attire that fits that industry. And we're partnering with the local cleaners so that that they help with some of the dry cleaning expense
Amazing.
for these
That's amazing.
items.
That's
And we
amazing.
have right now about 15 professionals, executives, career women that have said, please let us know when you're ready for us to clean out our closets. So all we're waiting for is the ink to dry on the paper and for the school to find the room or the closet big enough to host
Wow.
all of this.
That's great.
Yeah.
We have a little less than 2 minutes
Yes.
left, but I want you to let us know, are you available for speaking engagements? And if you are, tell us how, our viewers can get in contact with you.
Sure. If you're willing to know more about HireGround and how I can come out and speak to your organization about what we do, please contact us on the website, highergroundworks.com, and there's also a toll-free number there. And we're looking for opportunities to share our story, share some successes. We do have teachers and students who are willing to come along and say how HireGround has benefited them.
Okay. I'm going to give you the last word. You do so much, and I know we could have had another hour. What centers you? And we've got about 32 seconds. What centers you to do all that you do?
I have 3 wonderful daughters and a husband of 32 years. And my daughter says all the time, we were your daughters, but we think we were your first clients. And so that kind
Wow,
of
that's
keeps
great.
me, it keeps me in a
Keeps you
great
centered.
place. And then we are strong Christians, so I'll always say I lean into my faith when I think I can't go on the 14th hour. Somewhere it just kicks in when a kid says, can you help me before I go on my interview?
Jinnae, thank you so much for coming, and we hope that you will come back many, many, many more times.
Thank you for having me.
We hope that you have enjoyed today's show and our special guest, Dr. Jinnae Monroe. If you have questions about HireGround and want to volunteer or become more involved with this organization, please get in touch with Jinnae Monroe through the information scrolling on your television screen. Thank you for watching Skills to Pay the Bills, and we'll see you next week with another great show. I'm Tia Young, wishing you a safe and productive week. Bye-bye.